Okay, when I go up to drop my work off, you check to see if TJ is watching me. Abby, smiling uncontrollably, says, Okay. Susan walks up and Abby sees TJ is not watching. Susan walked by. Susan says, well, did he look? Abby says, nope. Not that I could tell. Susan says, he's all Mr. Intellectual anyway. Abby says, what do you mean? Susan says, he writes poems and talks just like he came out of a fancy college, using all big words and stuff. The next day, Abby meets Deborah, a co-worker who was always smiling. Deborah says, hey, do you know Jesus? Abby says, yes, I went to a great church in New York. Deborah said, I could tell that about you. This job isn't the end. I have plans to get out of this town. Haha. Abby says, I agree. Deborah says, well, I would like you to come to church sometime if you haven't found one yet. Yes, thank you very much. I would like that. Susan, looking kind of depressed, says, guess what, Abby? What? What's the matter? Travis and I broke up after 4 years. Wow, and you even have both of your initials on your license plate. I haven't done anything like that in a long time. Susan says, yeah, I sure wish TJ were single. He's dating some girl. I think he may be engaged or something. Probably someone really beautiful. Abby says, really? Well, I'm sure if you wait, something will happen. Go ask him. Susan's like, no way, I couldn't do that. That night, the cleaning crew came in, and one man caught Susan's eye. And the next day at work, Susan smiling. Guess what? Abby says, well, it must be good news, whatever it is. Yes, I have a date. He's older, but he's the kind of guy, like, not too smart. His name is Trevor. Abby says, well, that was quick. And a month later, TJ gives his number out to Susan after they corresponded through the email. Susan says, oh my God, I just found out that TJ is not engaged and he has been seeing Candy, that older lady with the big butt over there. Oh my God, her butt is so big. If I had known that, I would have tried to see if he wanted to go out or something. And he told me that they aren't serious, but they have had sex. Abby says, that is just way too much information for me. Would you please just go out with him already and get it over with? As time goes by and the house fell through, Abby receives a call from a friend. His neighbor wants to sell his house. It was the perfect house, expensive but perfect. Next day at the office, Abby says, well, TJ, that house fell through, but there's another house I'm going for. TJ says, I hope it works out for you. You really deserve it. I know you got it. Then later, TJ walked by Abby's desk and slipped her a card with his number on it. She was shocked, to say the least. Wow, TJ actually gave her his number so they could talk about writing and stuff. They had conversed on the work email about poems and writing books. They exchanged literature and discovered they had a lot in common. Susan was not happy with that, to say the least. Abby says, guess what? Susan says, what? I got the house, Susan. Would you and Trevor like to come over for a housewarming? Sure would. You gonna have food? Yes. What would you like for me to serve? Jokingly about Susan proceeds to answer her. I'd like a hamburger with pickles and tomato and lettuce, and don't forget the barbecue sauce. Abby says, okay, I won't. Man, is she persnickety or what? Susan and Trevor show up for the housewarming, and they enjoy a good meal and good conversation. Abby feels good that she made a friend. However, TJ has been chatting with Abby a lot lately, and that will be a wedge between Abby and Susan. Abby says, TJ, I hear you like to write. I do too. What are you working on? I have gone through many courses studying and researching the meanings of words to get the precise definition of each phrase of the literature I read. Wow, I cannot believe you study just like I do, TJ says. When my brother came to see me this week, he can usually tell when something is up with me. I tried to hide it, but he wouldn't give up. He got it out of me. He read you off of me. Now Abby is extremely shocked and wondering if she really got what he was saying. That is something, to say the least, TJ. TJ says, you are awesome, you sweet thing. And Abby's like, oh man, you don't know what that does to me. And TJ says, you are amazing. Blushing Abby says, thank you. TJ says, we were predestined. You came around at the right time, sweetie. We really should study together. Abby says, that would be great, but I can't see how we would get together to do that. On her way home that night, she went to get gas and had TJ on her mind. She backed into a car, and the man had a fit saying she dented his bumper. But when she leaned in close, there was no dent, and he had a dumb look on his face, and she just walked away and drove off. Realizing that she could be getting in too deep, she decides to return the card with TJ's info and not remember the number. TJ was walking by and said, you know that card was for you to keep. Abby says, I know. I have this problem. TJ says, oh, okay, well, I will talk to you later. And he walked away in a hurry. Abby says, really wanted to explain that she was falling for him, but how could she say that in the email? TJ says, hello, sweetie. Abby says, hello. I wanted to let you know that I tend to get carried away. I don't mean to flirt. A couple of years ago, I separated from my husband. He says, I understand completely. You are a diamond-clustered queen. You deserve to be taken care of the way a beautiful, talented, and intelligent woman like yourself should be. And Susan says, Abby, who are you talking to? Who are you emailing? Abby says, I'm trying to cover her computer screen. She's like, Nathan. And Susan says, not believing Abby. Oh, I see. Susan was not a person to trust anything with. She was always borrowing money from cash advance and then hitting up on coworkers for money too. She had self-confidence but hated the way she looked. She tended to be jealous of Abby for her hair because it was different every day. She even commented one day about Abby's hair. Abby, your hair is different every day, she said in a snotty way. Susan's hair was short and coarse, and she couldn't do much with it. Her lips were big, and she was very tall for a woman. Carolina tells Abby, be careful, don't be gullible. I'm praying for you. Abby says, okay, thank you, Caroline. I'll be fine. TJ and Abby began talking about publishing her book, The Earth's Obituary, and helping each other study and write. She began to get really happy that somebody finally heard what she was saying, and she was so distracted that one night at Walmart, she brought all her kids with her to the store, and they were driving her crazy. Between that and TJ on her mind after they checked out, they went to the car. She put the bags in the car and left abruptly. She drove to the Burger King drive-thru because the kids were hungry. Abby goes to find her purse and it's not there in the car anywhere. Abby on the cell talking to Walmart people, getting transferred from one line to another. Abby says, finally a person. I left my purse. Have you found it? The Walmart clerk says, "What's your name?" "Abby." "Yes, we have it here. It was found in the parking lot, in the shopping cart. Good thing it had your name tag on it." The kids are screaming in the car because they didn't get any Burger King because she whizzed out of there so fast. Abby, shouting in the car line at the drive-thru, "Could you get the person ahead of me? Move out of the way. I have to get my purse at the store." Abby, with such relief, walks into Walmart and retrieves her purse. "Thank you so much." Time has passed. Abby sees TJ walking through the parking lot. At work, in her mind, she thinks, "Hubba, hubba, here he comes." TJ says, "Hey, Abby." "Hi, TJ." How she would really love to talk with him more. Yep, the way her name just rolls out of his mouth, and the tongue piercing really adds a nice touch. Then one day she walks past TJ. He had a short sleeve shirt on and his arms looked so sexy, and suddenly a rush came over her. "Hi, TJ." Like a slideshow, she could feel emotions of passion, and then it hit her. TJ is the one in Anthony's dream where a black man would show her what real love is. "I gotta call Maria." She had this sudden urgency to tell someone what was going on. Once she got home, Abby explains to her New York friend Maria what has been going on at work and at home. But deep down, she didn't know that TJ very well, so Maria warned her to be careful. Now Abby really needed to communicate with him, and she didn't have his number. Abby says, "TJ, could I have your number back? I didn't write it down." TJ says, "Sure thing, sweet thing. And it's my birthday, August 12th. She asked Susan for TJ's number, but she wouldn't give it to her out of jealousy because TJ talked to everyone and everyone had his number. It stands to reason that someone who wanted to be accepted wouldn't refuse anyone's conversation. He had a reputation he knew nothing about. Abby heard all the rumors, and it truthfully intimidated her. But she continued to keep in touch with him and even start to talk with him on the phone. And Abby said, "Well, happy birthday, TJ." Susan says, "Well, it's TJ's birthday. He's 27. He said he didn't do nothing but sit home. Boring. I couldn't handle that." Abby says, "Wow. Yeah, I see what you mean," rolling her eyes so that Susan couldn't see. Abby, chatting with TJ, "You know, I have been studying the stargazer and the constellation. Hercules was in the sky when you were born." TJ says, "Really? Cool." They would text for hours about so many subjects. Abby needed this kind of communication. She was starved for it. Her intellect hungered for someone like him. Susan says, "Oh, that TJ, I think he's been having a fling with the other girl, Diamond. They text each other at the same time and they leave together every night." Abby says, "What? How would you know that?" Susan says, "I watch them, and Tina, who sat next to me, would agree." Frustrated, Abby says, "Well, you were very wise not to get involved with him." Susan says, "Yeah, he gives me the creeps." Abby says, "Please do something about Susan," to TJ. "She is going to drive me crazy talking about you the way she does. She doesn't even know what kind of person you are. She's saying you are flirting with the whole damn building and may even be seeing Diamond." TJ says, "What? Are you serious?" "I will handle it." The next day, TJ leaves a note for Susan to come see him at his desk.